What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube and TikTok at March 4th Pod. And the links to all of my stuff are in the podcast description for this episode. So that means if you made it here, then you found me somehow. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. How is everybody doing, man? I hope that life finds you well as you are listening to this podcast. It's crazy that we're creeping up on 200 episodes, man. It's pretty nuts. If I'm doing my math right, that's going to happen sometime in the early parts of 2026. And I really got back into doing this bad boy in 2020. Like right when COVID was going down, man, I was like, there's no better time than now to fight my anxiety and my imposter syndrome and get back into doing what I love, which is talking to people and talking about music and mental health. So this has been a 5+ year journey now with March 4th. I rebranded it in 19, did a couple episodes part and parcel, and then 2020 was really when we started hitting home. And then 2021, I started doing 3 episodes a month on Tuesdays. And we've been on that rhythm, and it's crazy that we're creeping in on 200 episodes. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who listens to the podcast. I truly, truly appreciate it, man. And all of you who take the time to like and subscribe, share, tell your friends to tell your friends. It's really awesome, man. I truly, truly appreciate it. And it's been cool to see this puppy grow incrementally. And more importantly, man, than like growth and numbers and downloads and all that stuff. We get so wrapped up in the numbers and likes and shares and all these metrics. And not that they're not important, but it really is the connections that you make out here and the relationships, hopefully, that you develop that are positive, that come out of doing a podcast or making music with people or whatever creative endeavor that you have, man. Whether you're an artist in more the traditional sense, if you draw, if you paint, if you make things with your hands, or if you're a musical artist, or you're a creator like me, a podcaster, a content creator, if you will. I'm somebody who went to school for journalism, and those of you who listen to the show a long time know that I used to do music feature stories back in the day and used to do sports writing. Your boy did some local broadcasting back home in Toledo, Ohio, doing sports stuff. R.I.P. Mike and Mick. I love you guys. I miss you so much. Those were 2 of my mentors in this game that passed away earlier this year, man. And so I'm doing it for the people who believe in me, and I'm doing it for me because I love to do it. And I love that there are people out there who are listening and checking out the pod. It truly means a lot. But I hope that everybody's having a great summer, man. It's so cool to see Vans Warped Tour back. It's so cool to see music, whether it's in the alternative space, pop punk, metal. It's all popping off right now. There's so many awesome bands doing their thing, and I think it's really cool as a kid who grew up in the 90s and watched TRL in the late 90s and early aughts. I have very vivid memories of watching that with my sister after school. Carson Daly, man, doing the video countdowns, and I talk about it a lot on this podcast because those are positive memories. But who would have thought that 25 years later, man, Blink 182 would be as big, if not bigger, than they've ever been. Limp Bizkit would be as big, if not bigger, than they've ever been. Deftones, Korn, all these formative bands from my childhood. Linkin Park, man. All these bands are still, touring to, hundreds of thousands of people and selling out arenas and stadiums and playing festivals, headlining festivals, have their own festivals. It's crazy. And it's just so cool to see that music reach a new generation 25, 30 years later. And so it's a great time for music, and it's a big part of this podcast because music moves mountains. I firmly believe that, and it's been a huge force in my life, man, in terms of somebody who's got anxiety and overthinking issues and intrusive thoughts. Music has always been something that has gotten me through some really, really dark days, man, and doing this podcast keeps me close to it, and, it's brought some wonderful, awesome people into my life and connected me to some awesome people, and that's a good time for a transition because speaking of awesome people and just people believing in the show, man. This guy has been one of the biggest supporters of March 4th. We got connected right about 3-ish years ago. And I think he found me on Instagram or I found him, but we found each other. And he's a guest of the pod. He is somebody who has sent me a lot of awesome guests of the pod. And he is an awesome musician, show host, funny content creator in his own right, audio engineer, has acting experience in his life. He is none other than Johnny Zirkel. And like I just mentioned, this guy wears a lot of hats. He is a singer, songwriter, he is an audio engineer, he's a show host, he's just an all around good guy. And I noticed within like probably the last year and a half ish, and we talk about it on this one, but Johnny, you guys might recognize him from his band, The Wildfires Project. You might also recognize him from his show Sounds of the Underground, which is aired on CBS, Amazon Prime, Samsung TV, where he interviews bands and they do live performances. And I noticed he created another Instagram account just under his name, Johnny Zirkel, and in addition to the Wildfires Project and was cranking out some awesome singles. Going Blind and Rapture were both inspired by his love for video games. Going Blind, in particular, was inspired by Fallout, and it's a really cool music video. That music video's got over like 165,000 views on YouTube, and it's cool because he and his wife are like characters in the music video. It's really awesome. The graphics are great. And then Rapture, he did with outline and color, and that one was inspired on Bioshock. If you guys are fans of that, and then this year alone, he's put out Modern Kings with We the Kings. He's put out Alive, which the artwork for Alive is inspired by It Follows for you horror movie fans. And on April 25th, he put out Upside Down. On June 11th of this year, he was also part of 20 something with the Midnight Echo. And how he and I got linked up way back in the day was in addition to those hats that he wears as a creator and a singer, he also does publicity for High Road PR. And he has sent me so many awesome artists over the years. And his first time as a guest on my show was actually, I believe, right around September-ish of 2022, so right about 3 years ago. So like I said, he wears a lot of hats, and I had noticed he had created this solo account just for Johnny Zirkel and had seen, the awesome music videos for Going Blind, Rapture, cranking out more music in 2025. Excuse me for the deep pauses, by the way. I'm pretty plugged up today with my nose, so I'm trying not to breathe too heavy in the mic. Um, but he had a lot going on, and I was just like, man, it'd be really cool to get him back on the podcast just to kind of talk about this journey that I've seen from a distance, like I said, with the creation of this solo content, making funny clips just inspired by his love for gaming and just everyday life. He actually had one on Instagram, a reel that got over like 2 million views, where he was laying in a hot parking lot in like a band tank top and just said like prepping myself for Warp Tour, just making a joke about being dehydrated and being just roasting out in a parking lot, and that obviously got a lot of views and it went viral. But so like I said, it's been cool to see him do all these different things, and when I saw that he was putting out new music and really building a name on an individual level, separate from the Wildfires Project and separate from his show Sounds of the Underground, I just wanted to get him back on here to talk about it, to talk about his journey as a content creator and putting out music under his name and what he's got going on in his life, man. So without further ado, I'm gonna shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Johnny Zirkel. Here it is. All right, there we go. Johnny, thank you so much again, dude, for taking the time to do the podcast. I really appreciate it. I know it's been a wild ride this year. There's been a lot going on, but I appreciate you coming back on the show, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, dude. Well, first, I just want to give you your flowers, first and foremost, because for people who aren't aware, you first came on my radar probably like a little over maybe 3 years ago, on Instagram. And in addition to doing the podcast, like you have sent me so many awesome artists for the show. So, sometimes people ask me, dude, how do you get these guests? How do you, and I'm like, well, I've been able to meet some really good people out here, and you're one of them. So thank you for feeding me so many cool artists, man. Like I've had some good relationships that have come out of it, including you. So before we officially got rolling, I just wanted to give you your flowers, brother. I really appreciate people who support and believe in the show.
Absolutely, man.
Well, and you've been a busy guy too, man. So the last time we talked a few years ago, obviously a lot's changed, but over the last like year plus, I want to say, correct me on the timeline, but you've really been going under your own Johnny Zirkel imprint. You've been doing a
Yeah.
lot in shorts. You've been building up your YouTube channel, and in addition to that, you've been releasing some new singles and some awesome music videos, man. What's it been like, kind of on this path under that imprint?
You know, it's been great. It's kind of a bittersweet thing. I made the decision to go under my own name, uh, mainly because it was kind of I think a fear when I first started using the Wildfires project that people weren't either going to take a solo artist seriously or I'd never been one. All I knew was being a band. And I started to realize as I got more comfortable in, my own skin, my own brand, so to speak, as just myself, when you do things like music videos, performing live, and you don't necessarily have a set band, but you go under a band name, people might start to get confused, like, well, what is with this guy that he always has different people? A good example of how I kind of skewed this once was with the Wildfires project, our music video Paradise. You'll notice the other two guys are wearing masks. And that's because the music videos and generally live are always me, my brother would play drums, and my good friend Steve would play guitar. My brother wasn't available, so we had to use a different drummer. So I had these masks lying around. And I was like, this is the perfect way to cover up that the people are different. So there's like little challenges like that. And then even like I just said, you refer to yourself as a we, like our band. This, it's just you. So I decided, it's time to kind of do a refresh, a rebrand. The last project, I was trying a bunch of different things, trying to see where I fit, and what I wanted to do artistically. And then I decided, what was it? November was the time to do it. I'm not sure what made me pick that time specifically, but I planned it out like 5 months in advance. And I was like, this is the time I'm going to stop posting as much content. This is when I'm going to do it. Um, but it's bittersweet because certain things like Instagram would not let me change the handle of my wildfires profile, which has 13.6 thousand people following it. Because when it was verified, it was before people paid for it. So it was verified as a business. And I had to provide actual legal proof that the business changed its name. And I couldn't get through to them that I am the person. There's another problem with having a band name. So that was annoying. So now I started a new one. It's just my name, Johnny Zirkel, and the views are getting out there. And I know, like, looking at those following metrics isn't always like what you should be going off of, but it is kind of like, wow, there's only 2,000 people there, and I had this 13,000 just sitting here. So a lot of times you'll see me share it and then collaborate with the wildfires so that it still hits those people.
Yeah, I'm glad they added that collaborator feature, because in the earlier days of Instagram, I say the earlier days, I'm like a caveman with this stuff. I'm trying to step
Well,
up
it
my
used to
video.
just be iPhone only. I remember when it first came out, my band member, because everyone else had Androids except one, he was responsible for all the content. And it was the stupid filters and the borders. But continue.
Um, but yeah, man, it was wild because there wasn't a collaborators feature, and then me being a newbie on Instagram at the time, which I created for the podcast, like you couldn't even share links to episodes or any external links in your stories unless you had however many followers. And when you start out, I had like there was like 100, 200 people, whatever, people that I know, other bands maybe that I had done stuff with or whatever. And so eventually I feel like they heard feedback and changed that where it was like, okay, because when you're starting out in this, you're like, well, how is anybody supposed to find me if I can't share links to anything? So I'm glad they added that collaborators feature, especially in your situation, because like you said, if you're changing or rebranding and you got to have a way to still be able to get those people. And so on one end, it's like, hey, kudos to Instagram for being like really protective and making sure people don't get their stuff stolen. But it's also like, yo, dude, this is me. Like, what do
This
I got to
is
do?
me. Like, I talked to a real person. Just I was on the phone. Sorry, we can't do it. All right, fine. But
And like, are you sure you're Johnny? Or it is
or
you?
in my ads account, you can see this is, but it all worked out. So, and it's kind of nice too because, well, there is actually a point. So I cleared out on the account that has 13,000. I cleared out like 5,000 fake followers before that too. So what's kind of nice is having this small base is I know everything's fresh coming in. I know there wasn't something I accidentally signed up for. If there was some company I worked with that was really just using bots, like it's all actual real information, which, to a fan doesn't actually matter, but when you're on the inside of the music industry, it does. Spotify senses fake listens, they're going to choke your account. And same with YouTube, they'll eventually kick you off.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're kind of cracking down on that because at the end of the day, on one end you can get all jacked up about the numbers, you know what I mean? Like me being where I am right now too, like it's been cool to see the show grow incrementally, but at the same time, like I feel like when you're a creator that doesn't have like the kind of followers that you have right now for a guy like myself, like I've had a few people slide into the DMs, be like, "Hey, we can get you followers and we can get you." And I'm like, this is
Yep.
if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So I've been trying to play with like, some sponsored posts on some of the reels to try to organically bring in people who have
Yep.
that desire and love for music, like guys like you and I, and bands that are on the come up and maybe aren't on people's radar just yet. You know what I mean? And so so that's what's really cool about doing this podcast, man, is like getting a chance to connect with awesome people like you. And like I said, I really mean it when I say thank you. You've sent a lot of really cool artists my way. And it's been cool to see those bands
Yeah.
ascend and do their thing. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of fun doing the show. But for you, man, like with the music, under Johnny Zirkel, you put out Going Blind, I think was the first one in 24, like late 24, Rapture. And then this year it's been Modern King, Alive, and the latest one is Upside Down, which just came out in April. But I thought the music videos, man, for Going Blind and Rapture were really cool. I know you're a video game guy. Like,
Yeah.
how cool was it to do like video game music videos like that?
So that was actually, those two songs were part of the turning point of when I decided to go under my own name. Because when both of those songs came out, they did the absolute best performance wise when you take out like any sort of thing like promotions or anything like that. They resonated with an audience, and it was, I hate this term, but it was the only thing I would consider like a viral reaction. I won't say the videos went viral. They weren't, they're big, but they're not, millions and millions, but it had a reaction to a fan base. And that's when I started thinking, well, maybe I should kind of narrow more in on this. And I started testing out like gaming content and things like that. And I was like, oh, maybe my niche is an artist, but also in gaming because everyone likes to connect with people who they like. A great example is Post Malone. When I found out he was into Magic the Gathering, my first thought was, oh shit, I want to play Magic with Post Malone. How does this happen? And I actually just made a video I'm going to post that mentions that as like another comedic thing. But yeah, so those were fun. It kind of came out of nowhere, the Going Blind one that's based on Fallout. And I remember when I started writing it, I was thinking in my head, like, all right, I gotta tell my producer this song's about a video game. It's not a serious song about anxiety, addiction, anything. It's a video game. And I had to tell him, like, listen, you can change some of the words, but it still has to follow a story. We did it. It sounded awesome. I found a guy on Fiverr who made that animation for like pennies on what it should have cost. Did an amazing job, and it's exciting. Those are things I still want to do more. It's just if I'm going to do them, I want to do it right, and animation can be expensive. The guy who I did work with took a break to work on personal projects, which I totally respect. Sucks for me. Totally respect it. So there is stuff like that I'm working on. And then Modern King is cool. That came about. We the Kings actually just posted a thing like, "Hey, we'd want to feature on your songs, vice versa." And I shot him an email, and I was like, "Hey, I actually used to intern at your record label when I was 17." And he agreed to be on the song, and I didn't expect a response. So I was like, oh shit, I have no song for him to be on. If I don't do this now and write something, um well, I'm gonna miss this opportunity. So my producer was like, yo, I've been working on a song, like this is the one. I'm like, all right, cool. So we went with that. So a lot of cool things have happened since I've changed the name. And it's nice not having any of the, I don't want to say baggage, but just, you know, things with an older project that went through so many changes and worked with so many people. It's like now it's not a little bit of everybody else. It's 100% me. And then I would say it's a 200%, 100% me, 100% my producer as far as the music's concerned. I wouldn't say anybody's more or less. We work really well together.
That's great, man. It's always great when you can connect with people who get you, who you trust, especially nowadays, man, because on one end it's cool because there's so much really good music out there. But as I'm sure you're well aware, being on the PR side and also be on the artist side yourself and on the interview side, like, with all the bands that you've not only worked with PR, but actually did your show with over the years, like finding your people can sometimes be challenging, but then once you find them, man, like they ride with you. So having producers that understand your sound, like I know there's artists like Alter Bridge, they've worked with Michael Elvis Basquiat for like all their records. You know what I mean? Like when you find somebody that you trust, who gets you, who knows your voice and knows what you're going for, that's sick. But I really thought those music videos turned out awesome. And did I catch so the artwork for Alive, is that inspired by It Follows? Because are you a horror movie from what I remember, you're a horror
Yeah,
movie guy too,
it
right?
was inspired by 100%. So, because I was just trying to think of something cool, and I was just playing around in ChatGPT one day, actually having it just like create different images and stuff for, I forget what it was, but I was just like, oh, let's play around. Oh, that's what it was. I was giving it prompts. So I was trying to create a brand package for myself. So I could look at it and be like, okay, John, this content you're making, does it fit the brand? This funny cooking video might be great, but is anyone on your page actually following you for cooking? No. So I was just playing around with images. I was like, neon lights, this, and it started showing me like cars and texts and the color blue. And I'm like, this is really cool. It reminds me of the cover for It Follows. And then my brother, who does all my graphic designs, I said, give me a cover that looks like It Follows. And he put it together, and that's how that one kind of came to be. And then Upside Down was kind of similar because there's references to the Killers. And a bunch of different things in there. And I was like, okay, the Killers, Sam's Town, it's about Vegas, it's all depressing. And so I started doing prompts, and it started making like a casino type of thing. And my brother was like, well, let's use this and flip it upside down. And then I think it's still on there. I should know this. I think one of the upside down signs says Sam's Town, which is the Killer's second record and one of the lyrics in the song. Or it's like kind of blurry-ish to look like that. But yeah, I like taking things from other things I'm interested in. It's kind of like Ice Nine Kills did the whole horror theme, and when I started doing the video game content, that's what I immediately thought. It was like Nine Inch Nails was a band way before then. I played with them at some random upstairs venue in New Jersey. I want to say in 2010, way before the Silver Scream and all that. But that's what clicked. And in my head, I was like, oh, the video game thing is clicking. I need to find a way to do this more. So for now, it's just more like the comedic content because I don't want to put out a song without being able to do the animation. Um, but I'm still pulling it here and there, which is great.
Well, and I think authenticity is like the biggest thing, right? At the end of the day, people are vibing with you as much as they are the music. And you never know what video it's going to be or what short it's going to be that's going to like pop or bring
Mhm.
people in. And I think the connection like you were making with Ice Nine Kills and the horror stuff, like video games and music are really intertwined. Like I remember doing an interview with the band a few years back, and they were talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and like that soundtrack and how that like opened them up to certain bands. So, those video game soundtracks back in the day, I think put people on to bands that maybe they weren't aware of previously. So I think finding that video game audience online and then they'll go, "Oh, word, this dude sings like that too." You know what I mean? I think that's a cool connection to make. But and yes, the upside down artwork does have Sam's Town in
Okay,
there.
cool. It does say
Hold
that.
on. Yeah, yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to make sure it had those references. It's like super easy in the song because it says just like Mr. Brightside headed out of Samstown now. Anyone who knows the Killers or a radio knows that. But I wanted something a little more subtle that you'd have to kind of pick out. Because I've always liked things like that. I know with the internet people really don't like Nine Inch Nails when he released Year Zero, there was like a whole PR campaign he did where like I know part of it there was a random thumb drive on the bathroom floor in one of the arenas he played at. And the person who picked it up found a code on it, and that code said like what frame in a video on YouTube to get another hint. So I'm like, I like that stuff. But you can't really do that as much on social media, especially when you're not of that stature, but I can do little things here and there.
And didn't they nest like some stuff on their latest record? Like they did
Yes.
some like I
I think
not like
MCR is doing something now too, because they just announced like the new world they're in. So yeah, when you're at that level, you know, if and when I like to be positive, I get there, I will definitely be doing a lot of that stuff.
keep going, man. Like that's the biggest thing is not quitting. I was just talking to one of my buddies about that earlier, just because like I'm 37 now and it's like I'm still young, but like I love doing the podcast and I have a great day job and work on a great team. But I love doing this stuff, this and I go back to way back to like 2011 when I first started writing music feature stories, and that's how the podcast started, getting a chance to do, sometimes our conversations with people, and I'm like, man, it'd be cool to turn this into long form, and so like a lot of us in our 20s, I put it down and I picked it up, and then when I moved to Nashville, I was like, I'm in the music city now. I always had designs of getting back into it. And then when COVID happened, that's really when I kind of, was like, all right, I got no excuses now. Everybody's cooped up
Uh,
and I need to get back into it. And that's how I've been able to connect with awesome people like you, man. But yeah, it's just not quitting. And I think one of the cool things about social media, as you well know, you can connect with a lot of really cool people, but you also can fall into that trap of the comparison game, especially with numbers. Like podcasts, similar to music is like, downloads or how many people viewed this short or this reel that I put out. And I always say I got to do more, and I do. Like I started like last year, I made it a point. I'm like, all right, I got to start doing video content because I look at shorts a lot with the podcasts that I like. And I had been using a service where it was basically like, I'm trying to think of the term for it, like the technical term for it, but it's basically like I would use the band photo and then kind of have like an audio clip underneath. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah,
And then
and oh,
and I
you're
got
good.
away from oh sorry, man. And yeah, and I got away from that. I wanted to do the video shorts because I thought that those would get more engagement. So I like made it a point to do those.
Oh yeah, and on like the age thing and whatnot, that's always something that like my whole life would bother me, and that's because I think when I started working on music and started playing shows and festivals and things like that, it was pretty hardcore. Like you couldn't be over a certain age to make it. Like there's rare, people who slip through, but it's like, the Jonas Brothers were big, all these younger pop bands, and everybody just wanted young, kids and teens and whatnot. And so as I would get older, I'd be like, oh shit, it's over. And I'd set new markers for myself, like, well, if I don't get it by this age or this age, and then I had this wonderful idea to just start looking up like other artists who slipped through the cracks or made it later. This is not a great comparison, but Two Chainz was 40 when he had his first radio record. Like 40 years old, if you would have told me that when I was, 20, I would have been like, what? There's no way. Jelly Roll's older. I recently found out that Jared Leto, when The Kill came out, was already 34, 35 years old. And then in my head, when I was younger, I was like, he's in his 20s. So it's like, it's age isn't that much of a factor as we were told, and it's definitely less now. I know there's a country artist, I forget his name, but he got his first single at 36. Um, he's more country, not like pop country. But there's so many people out there that in my head I'm just like, oh, I got plenty more time. I don't have to rush this.
Yeah, 100%. A guy in the country space that I've like become a total stand for is Steven Wilson Jr. Like that dude is awesome and he's been, blowing up. He just did he's selling out 2 shows at the Ryman. I got a chance to see him at Brooklyn Bowl last year. He played the NFL draft
Oh,
in
nice.
Green Bay and did a cover of Stand By Me that I think really kind of took him into
I
another
think
level.
this
But
I know that. Yeah. Who is the Don't mind my Google search real quick. I want to
oh,
figure
you're
out.
good, man.
No, yep, I have no idea what his name is, but I forget. Oh, Morgan Wallen came up. Apparently, he's like 33 years old. I wouldn't have guessed that either. So, if
Yeah,
you're
it's
watching, you got plenty of
to
time. And also, don't pay for anything that goes to your inbox saying they'll get you fans. If they give you an exact number circling back, if they say we can get you 1,000 followers, it's fake. No good marketing or PR team will guarantee you any results. They will tell you what they're going to do, and then they will do it, and it's up to the other people on how it picks up. And same thing, if someone emails you, generally reputable people don't try and find emails for people to send to market to. So be safe if you're an artist. Don't screw yourself.
yeah, man, and also like and thanks again so much for your time and your thoughts on this stuff, man, because you're a
Yeah, we
guy
still
who's
got
out
some
here.
time. We can go a little past it. I just wanted to kind of preface a span just in case my son woke up and was intolerable.
Oh no, it's all good,
I
man.
love
It's
him.
all
He's
good.
great. But sometimes if he sees me and he knows mom's in the house still, he's just going to scream at me. Beautiful thing.
Yeah, my sister has a baby boy, her first one, Vic. She named him after our grandpa, Victor. He was just born at the end of February, and
Oh, nice.
he's awesome. But yeah, having a newborn or little baby is a handful, man. But yeah, that was another thing. I try not to pry into people's personal lives on this, but just since the last time we've talked, I'm trying to remember if you and your wife were if you guys were married or engaged, but um
You know
going
what?
back 3 years ago. But yeah, marriage, kid.
It
I'm
would have been
glad.
on the cusp because our 3 year anniversary is coming up in September. So it would have been right before or right after. And then we just had our son last November. So he's only 8 months now. But that's been a whole new experience. Actually, this is a kind of full circle. Alive is actually, it's not written about him, but it's written from the feelings I felt when my wife got pregnant because the lyrics, are things are moving way too fast. I can't keep running, strip down all my fears till it's nothing. My head's up high, but I feel it's the conflict that I was having with I really want a kid. Am I ready for a kid? Which is basic, but then it's like, well, I did all this shit. Am I worthy of this? Am I going to be able to like raise someone right? Like, I'm not the best example, but this is going to happen anyway. So, and that's why the lyrics in the beginning are I seen what I messed up and I don't want to live like that. I've been praying for someone, anyone to bring me back. So you'd think that song's probably like a relationship song if you didn't know, but it's really just I'm having a kid. This is what's going through my head.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that, man. And yeah, and again, congrats on being a father and being a husband, man. And I'm glad y'all made it through the wildfires and stuff out there like we were talking before the jump too. I know that was so crazy to see.
Mm.
Um, I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, so occasionally you'd have to worry about maybe a tornado. But where I'm from in Toledo, it was more like just really brutal winters and stuff. And obviously down here in the Nashville area, it's more susceptible to tornadoes and stuff like that, dude. But seeing those wildfires
Yeah.
was super gnarly, and I was thinking about all the people that I knew out there. So I'm glad that you guys made it through okay. Is
And
is
I'm
is the
originally, what's up?
is the rebuild going all right as far
Yeah,
as like
so our area was pretty good. My where I worked was right in the zone. So my work, the church I worked at in Westlake Village, Calvary, they became like a Red Cross station place. They had the firefighters there, they had medics there, they had room, they let anybody into the church to stay, to sleep over. So that was more where I was affected, was in the work area, but then a fire broke out right next to us. But much like you, I'm from New Jersey, so I'm used to winter storms was the thing. And one of the weird things for me, it's funny, but it's not funny, but you'll get it, is, when you live in like a cold, cold area and it's winter and it's snowing and you smell fire, it's like, wow, that smells really good. So every now and then when there is a fire, I'll go out, or even when I don't know, when I'll go outside, like, oh, it smells like wood burning. This is great. And then I have to remember I'm in California and it's probably somebody's house, not a fireplace. But I miss the winter.
yeah, it is weird that you say that. Yeah, that campfire smell. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I miss winter as a kid. I don't miss having to get up
Uh-huh.
early and like scrape my car off, or you get like a half-inch layer of ice on your
Uh-huh.
windows and it's dude, it's so wild down here in the South. Like people have no idea like how to cope with it at all. I've seen neighbors taking like they don't even have a scraper. They're like taking brooms or people don't do this. Anybody listening, do not go get
Sandpaper.
or get like a warm bucket of water. Like
Oh, yeah.
you'll you'll crack your windshield. Do not do that. Do not do that. You gotta let that bad boy warm up.
I was in Nashville, I want to say 2010, and there was a freak ice storm and they had no idea what to do. There was like no plows for the road or anything. I had to dig myself out to get to a radio interview at Tootsie's. So,
Oh
man,
man, you had to go right downtown then. You had to go right into the belly of the beast.
uh,
Broadway is gnarly, dude. Broadway now, I don't know the last time you've been here.
it's too much.
It's done changed a lot, even in the 10 years I've been here, man. Like it's fun in doses being local, but it's and I get it. Like it's
Yeah.
tourism, it's making a lot of money for the city. So I'm like not knocking it, but dude, you see some gnarly stuff down there. Like it is the level of partying there is like on like a it's on like a Jersey Shore episode level where you're just and it's like a Wednesday night and you're like it's 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. Like how are y'all
Uh,
moving?
I went
This is
to
crazy.
college on the Jersey Shore, and it was like the worst timing because the Jersey Shore was super popular and I was super emo. So I had the comb over highlights, whatever, all the skinny jeans, the bright colored gut shirts, and I'm going to this college that's on the pretty much the beach in Monmouth University, and everyone there is like jacked and tan, and all the girls are like tan and well done, and I'm here, this emo kid, like I'm not gonna have the college experience. Who the heck's gonna hang out with me? But I guess also like the guy who created the show went there, and the situation, I guess, would like drive around his Lamborghini trying to pick up college chicks. But yeah, it was an emo kid on the shore during the Jersey Shore. But that was
Speaking
good.
of viral, man, I that's it's so wild how that blew up. Like that's crazy.
Uh-huh. Well, the
Yeah.
original premise was supposed to be like different groups of people vacationing on the Jersey Shore, but and most of those people aren't even from New Jersey, they're New Yorkers, and they just got good ratings and they ran with it.
Hey man, kudos to that whole cast. Hey man, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
you never know how or when or if something's gonna pop, and yeah, that became like a like literally like a
yeah.
global. Like, they went to Italy one season, right? Did they actually film a season
Uh-huh.
in
But
Italy?
all of
Like,
us in New Jersey were just like, no, hide this. Nobody's like there. Okay, there are people like that. Yes, they're more on like the northeast side, closer to New York. but most of us were not like that 100. Maybe in like middle school, yeah, I had a gold chain and stuff like that, but I grew out of that real quick.
You know you've made it when South Park parodies you, and when
Oh
South
yeah.
Park did the Jersey Shore episode, I was like, this is another level. Well, before we wrap it up, I'm gonna pivot hard left from Jersey
Yeah, that's
Shore.
good.
Um, but I appreciate you taking the time again, man, and with the theme of this show being, perseverance and moving forward, that's the meaning behind March 4th for anybody who's brand new to the show. And if you are brand new listening or watching, welcome aboard the pirate ship. It's a Goonies reference for anybody listening. One of my favorite movies, the best movie ever. I will say. Um, but you've been very outspoken, man, about mental health.
Hmm.
Men's mental health, especially. We recently just had Men's Mental Health Month here in the States, and it is kind of it is really sad when you look at the numbers. I mean, I wasn't even aware of the level of male suicides that take place every single year, man. And it's incredibly sad. But as a guy who's in the music business and the entertainment business, there's a lot of good people, but it also can be really cutthroat. And like we were talking about early at the jump, just making a name for yourself, trying not to get caught up in the comparison game. What are some things that help you get through the day, man, or help you get through low points, just as a young man, as a young father, especially in a field like entertainment, man, where it can be pretty brutal.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the first thing I comes to mind, and it's both the easiest and the hardest thing, is get the hell off social media when you can. And I run into this too because I follow a lot of bands because I work with a lot of bands, so it's kind of necessary. And I'll be scrolling through and I'll see something and I'll be like, wow, this person is doing this thing I've always wanted to do. And whether it's true or not, in my mind, I'll go, but I've been working just as hard or harder. And I don't know that. They could have been doing it since they were 4 years old. But the thing with like overnight success is it does take a while, but then all of a sudden you see the results. So I'm just seeing the result of the fact, and it's like, wow, I always wanted to do that, and I've realized not focusing so much on that has helped a lot. Kind of like we mentioned before, when I would start getting upset about certain things I was feeling or my age, trying to find similar situations other people have gone through, that could either inspire you or make you feel like you're not alone. Kind of misery loves its company kind of thing. But I think that's the important thing. When people get depressed, especially in music, they feel alone. And when it's a creative thing, they feel rejected, especially because it's like, why is my art not good enough? It's like 10% of art now. It's all, cringy videos and things like that. And yes, you'll see people who just happen to make it off their art, but you got to look at the bigger picture and outside of your isolated timeline. And it's kind of the same with politics, which I'm not going to get into politics, but whatever side you're on, that's what social media is showing you. It's only going to show you that specific thing. So you're putting yourself in this mental hole that shouldn't even be there. Now, outside of that, for me, relaxing became video games. It was something that I can use to not only focus my mind on something, but expend that energy that would have all that anxiety otherwise just been pushed down. Then, you have a kid and you get a lot more to do. But if you do have a child, you realize that is kind of rewarding. Since I had a kid, there are definitely more moments of stress and anxiety and depression. It's like I have to do all these things. I can't focus on my art as much anymore, or I have to do all these things because my wife needs to do this and the baby's got to eat. He can't just stay in the crib. But on the flip side is when he is waking up and wants to hang out with dad, it's super cool because I'm like the only person he wants to hang out with. Um, so I think depending on where you are in life, first thing, get off social media or broaden your horizons. Don't just focus on the same things. If you have a problem you're going through, try and find someone else, who you would look up to and see the things that they've gone through. They might not be the same, but you could say, wow, they made it out of it. So can I. I mean, how many celebrities lived in their cars before their final break. I was just watching Steve Harvey was in his car for 3 years, got a $200 gig, and then all of a sudden blew up. So keep going, open your viewpoint on, what you're seeing. And it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it is hard. There are moments, I take two different medications. I've been on them for 8 years now, and it's still hard. There's no simple fix. Um, it's work, but it's worth it when you do it.
I really appreciate you sharing that, man. Can I ask you,
Yeah,
kind of one final thing? And it's kind of a heavy question,
go
but
for it.
but just on my own mental health journey, you learn about like how much of what you experience in childhood, and I had a great childhood. My parents are awesome, and even though they got divorced when I was 11, and that was heavy, they're amicable, and they've been amicable for 2+ decades. I digress, but I've learned a lot about. I mean, I'm no expert, okay, but you learn about how much what you experience in childhood impacts you as adult, and there's a lot of people that aren't even conscious of it. There's just subconscious things and behaviors that can be traced back to when you were young, and you hear about how like between the ages of 0 and 8, your brain is just like a sponge when you're a kid, and
Yeah.
so whatever you're experiencing is just your version of normal. What's something that you wished, like the adult Johnny now, that you wish the little guy in you would have had or would have known that you want to pass on to your son when he's a little guy? I mean, obviously he's 8 months old
Yeah.
now. He's like a
Like,
toddler, a little dude.
Still always going to be tiny to me, unless he outgrows me because people are way taller now for some reason. And my brother's 6'2" and I'm 5'8", so there's a gene in there somewhere. But so on the, I guess say more negative side, I mean, I had a great childhood as well, great parents, great family, but my dad was always the more anxiety, depression, kind of high strung, always worried about making sure we had money and this and this and this. And I was, with him a lot. I would go to him with him to work. So I noticed as I grew up in my head, it's like, oh my God, I got to pay this. I got to pay this. Where's this money coming from? So I've learned, when it comes to my son, at least, to not, and obviously he's way too young to worry about that now, but it's still subconscious. He can put it in. Any sort of like concerns or anxieties or things like that, I don't want to show him. Similarly, in early on in my anxiety, it took the form of, or early on in my OCD, germophobia for like 4 months. It came out of nowhere. Always washing my hands, always doing this. I had like these rituals where I had to walk in and out of rooms so many times. And my neighbor actually had something similar. And she said to me, when I had kids, I had to force myself to stop because I wasn't going to let them see me doing that and then them have that same habit. So there's those things. And then I guess just when I was younger, the only thing I wish I knew is more how the music industry worked. I feel like I could have spent my resources a little more wisely through the years. Um, but no, I think it's just if there's someone you care about, whether it's your son, a best friend, someone else, definitely share your struggles. But at the same time, if there's a bad habit you have, try and keep that away from them. It's kind of like if you know an alcoholic, don't drink around them. Um, so just, be aware of what you're saying. Words are life and death. I mean, literally can cause people to do one or the other. Um, that person you can say one thing that's not the worst, but it's their worst day, and that's the last thing. So just be careful, what you're speaking into other people. Um, don't mean to sound like a pastor, but speak life. Don't try your best to not be involved in the gossip because it will get out and harm people. I know I kind of took that in a different direction, but it felt like it should have went there.
No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you sharing that. Because again, as you well know, there's a lot of people struggling out there, and obviously this podcast is for entertainment. I'm not a doctor,
Oh
you
yeah.
know what I mean? But at the same time, I feel like it's important to and I don't even mean this in a self-righteous way, but it's important to talk about these things because I think there's a lot of people who would still be here if they felt like they had a space
Oh
to
yeah.
talk about it, or because growing up in the 90s, like we grew up, I'm sure it was similar in Jersey, where it's like, hey man, rub some dirt on it.
Yep.
Life is hard, which you know what, some of that
Worked
is,
for us. It worked for me at least. I mean, I was fine with that, but I can also understand how it doesn't work for other people. And I don't mind taking the time to talk about this more because, as you said, I've always been very involved in it. Um, and I had somewhere I would. Oh yeah, if you look at my page and you see, the funny, stupid shit I post, on the outside, you would probably never think I had problems. But, there were days where I literally sat on the couch for 12 hours straight because I couldn't get out of my head. And if I didn't think the thoughts I wanted to the right way, I wouldn't let myself get like I was locking myself down. I was, I went off the edge drinking. So many bad things because I was struggling. Um, and it really wasn't until, and this isn't like a message I'm necessarily trying to get out there. For me, what worked is I actually found the drummer of Buck Cherry, the original drummer. He left the band and found God, and I had met him, and he wanted to do a Christian record, and he asked me to do it. And at that point, like, yeah, I had always been Christian, but in my head, I was like, why am I going to do a Christian record? But there was such an influential person who wanted to work with me. I was like, I'm not going to say no to the guy from Buck Cherry. This can put my name on it everywhere. But that led me down to meeting the right people who kicked my ass into the a better person that I am now. And I am eternally grateful to those people, one of which passed away because his life choices led him there. He was in San Quentin 3 times. He was an older guy, but he saw me right away. I never spoke a word to this guy. He looked at me, pointed, and said, "We need to talk right now." And he's like, "I get you. You're in a band, you're touring, you're doing all these things." And I'm there like, "How the hell do you know any of this stuff?" Like, and he did the same thing with my wife, who I could hear outside this door because she's probably curious on where I am right now. But no, so I think we are in a tough time. It's getting tougher. Hi, buddy. Now my dog's in here. You can walk in. I'm on it, but you can walk in. This is my wife, for those of you guys, and my son, Ezra, little man, probably just woke up from a nap. But yeah, as far as growing up and with him as the perfect example, I just want to always speak life into him and, not expose him to as much as I can.
Hell yeah, man. Well, Johnny, I appreciate the time, man. I kept you a little bit over. I'll let you go get back to being a hubby and being a father. But everybody go check out Upside Down. Go check out Alive, Modern King. Check out the previous singles and music videos and back catalog, man. For everybody who's not aware of you, Johnny, let them know where they can find you, brother.
Find me on Instagram at Johnny Zirkel, TikTok, Instagram, the same thing. And hey, if you got a question or something I talked about here did not make sense to you or you're confused, shoot me a message. Might take me a couple days, but I do my best to get back to everybody because, I could have used those people to talk to and people help me. So I'd like to do the same.
Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with Johnny Zirkel. Make sure you go follow my guy Johnny on Instagram at Johnny Zirkel, and that is spelled Zirkel. He is also on YouTube at Johnny Zirkel. The links to all of his stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode, so you know what to do. Scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description, hit those links, and go follow and support my guy Johnny. Musically, if you are interested in alternative rock, post hardcore, pop punk, emo, he does it all. If you are into funny content creation and short form videos, he's doing that. And if you want to go watch him do his thing on the other side of the mic as an interviewer and not somebody who is being interviewed, go check out his show, Sounds of the Underground. Once again, that is aired on CBS, Amazon Prime, Samsung TV. He's got episodes on his YouTube channel where there are live performances from the bands on the show, in addition to Johnny doing his thing behind the mic as an interviewer. And I just got to say directly to Johnny, thank you so much, seriously, dude, for taking the time to come on the podcast, especially as a new father. With everything you've got going on, there were obviously wildfires in LA earlier this year that were pretty scary, and you're out in that area, you and your wife, with the little baby, and I was thinking about you, and I really just can't thank you enough, man, for the support that you have shown this podcast over the years. You have sent so many awesome artists my way. And in addition to that, I'm a genuine fan of what you're doing. You've got a hell of a voice, and it's really cool to see you under your own Johnny Zirkel imprint, making a name for yourself with the videos that you're doing and the music that you're putting out there in the world, dude. So hang in there, man. I know there's been some ups and some downs, but you're a really good guy, and it's cool to see what you're doing, man, and it's cool to see the channel growing, and it's inspiring me to do more. I just feel like I got to get myself I put a lot of energy and effort into making these shows great, you guys. If you guys only knew how many times recorded and re-recorded the intros and close to this show, I mean, who knows? Maybe that would be a funny reel, just me starting over 17 times. Because I'm a perfectionist with anxiety, so it has to be perfect. And I can gab with the best of them. And, a lot of times with these sinuses I got, my nose is plugged up and I don't want to be, breathing heavy on the mic. But then sometimes I'm like, I need to take a breath and slow it down. So, anyway, it's inspiring to see guys like Johnny out there doing his thing and making a name for himself. And like we talked about in that conversation, just his experience in PR, his experience as a musician, as an actor, like he wears all these different hats, man, and it's cool to see him really doing his thing and just being a good dude. And I really appreciate the love and support of the show. And it's always cool to get people on here like him, to be on the other side of the curtain and the other side of the microphone, and not have his PR hat on or his interviewer hat on, like he's done with Sounds of the Underground, and be on the other side of it and have somebody like me, a goofball like me, interview him. So thank you so much to Johnny once again, at Johnny Zirkel, the Wildfires Project. All the links will be in the podcast description for this episode. Keep running up the numbers on the singles, and keep running up the numbers on the YouTube channel and the videos that he's cranking out and the shorts he's cranking out. And if you did enjoy this conversation, please be so kind as to like and subscribe to the show, because that means you will not miss future episodes. You will get access to the back catalog. It'll all be right there for you. And interact with it on social media when we share these videos on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. All those things go a long way in helping this show rank higher in the algorithms, especially when you leave a rating and a review of the show on whatever streaming service you're listening to this through. I know Spotify and Apple have a 5-star rating system. And like I said, I don't like begging for this stuff, but it does go a long way in helping the show reach more eyes and ears. And that's what I want, man. I want to put more people onto awesome creators like Johnny Zirkel and to get his story out there to more and more people, man. He's got a unique perspective on the entertainment industry as somebody who's been in a lot of different parts of the business, as it were, and is a good guy. So I would really appreciate it if you enjoyed the show. If you want to stay aboard that pirate ship and not just be one and done. We've got fun ones coming up to close out the year. It's crazy to say it like that. There's 4 months left in the year, Mikey, but it is nuts. It's nuts that we're almost 8 months down. So make the most of your time. Make the most of today. I'm going to make the most of the rest of this night by cleaning up, getting some shut eye, maybe getting a little nasal saline up there to break up some of this crap that's in my nose. That was probably a little bit of TMI for you, but take care of yourselves, y'all. Seriously, it's important. I know there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I don't get into it on this show because I try to use this platform not to sound cheesy or self-righteous, but I try to use this platform really to unite people and to be like a creative, fun, hopefully fun and entertaining respite that also, ties in awesome music and maybe puts you on artists that are on the come up or up and coming that maybe you weren't aware of or weren't on your radar, but thanks to this goofball, now they're on your radar. And in addition to that, let you know that this is a place where you can come and feel safe when it comes to mental health, not being ashamed if you're struggling with those issues, and hear conversations about people who are pushing through their own stuff, man. We just had Ali Slater on the show. She's a multi-time guest as well and is very open about her mental health journey and how that ties in with her creativity and her music. And so if there's anything I can leave you with is, don't wear, the darker aspects of yourself like a scarlet letter. Don't beat yourself up about it, whatever it is, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's OCD tendencies, whatever it may be, overthinking, all these things that so many people struggle with, and they try to bury it. And at the end of the day, we're all human. The fact that you feel, the fact that you overthink, the fact that you have anxiety and are, more hyper vigilant than the average person. Try to look at those things as just aspects of who you are and how you can use them for strength, not looking at them as weaknesses, but, looking at ways that you can grow and develop and learn to experience them and not fight them. I think that old quote, "What resists persists," is so true. Anytime I've tried to fight a feeling, it just enhances it. It's kind of like that thing where they're like, somebody sits you down and that old experiment or whatever, of somebody saying, "Don't think of pink elephants," and it's like the first thing that comes to your mind because when somebody tells you not to do something, you're like, "I got to do it." I kind of look at least, and again, I'm no doctor. This is an entertainment podcast, okay? So take what I say with a grain of salt. But just in my own experience and my own struggles with my mental health journey with anxiety and OCD tendencies and overthinking, intrusive thoughts, like the more I try to fight those things, and beat myself up about it, the worse it got. The further I went into the hole. But the more I worked through them, through therapy, through proper rest, physical exercise, getting out in nature, connecting with people via this podcast, learning about their journeys, and just realizing that there are other people who struggle with similar things, that helped me get out of the hole. So channel the darker parts of yourselves into something positive, find a healthy outlet for it, and you will be better off. So that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you again so much for listening. Thank you to Johnny, once again, at Johnny Zirkel. I am at March 4th Pod. Keep the faith and be kind to one another and be kind to yourselves. Courtesy of Johnny Zirkel, here is his single Upside Down. Peace.
Upside down. Could be on the wrong side, but I don't need to figure this out. 'Cause if life's all 'cause I've been under